We were talking about this Urban Meyer thing during the break and just what you've seen over the last years in America, where these leaders of football team become leaders of men and give off symbols for leadership. This is how you change a culture. This is how you fix an environment. Urban Meyer, come rescue us. You are the savior who will come in and you will teach my mailroom how to be tougher, and you're going to change our building with the strength of your will and character. Tomorrow, you will hear from Howard Bryant and Kate Fagan and Tom Haberstroh as they discuss how the coaching model throughout sports allows a whole lot of men to do bad things to kids. Just the way the culture of it works, we're putting our kids in the hands of men very often, most often, men, and it's a playground. You're seeing it throughout sports with all of these stories coming out all over the place of this is what my coach did to me. Like it's Me Too. If it had a name, it's happening throughout sports where hockey leagues and tennis, they're all polluted. They're just polluted with some of these relationships between coaches and players that are problematic. And we were talking during the break, and there's just so much fascinating stuff happening around Urban Meyer and the kind of guy that you think you need to hire in that sport to teach your players the right thing. Because in that sport, I've been talking about this for a while, Stugatz, the racial tension in that sport. It's not lost on me that they've changed all the rules when Tom Brady gets hurt, and they make sure that Peyton Manning's getting the commercials. You got to keep the white quarterbacks in the league as your stars, and it's getting harder. Because you can't, I mean, I've been having this conversation with Bomani for a decade about how all the rules are meant to change to prevent the NFL from being stuck with a bunch of conservative owners feeling like they're running a prison yard or whatever it is that the white power would assign to. I can't have my entire league be black. I'm going to Wellington Mara the taunting out of my league because that's what I associate with blackness. I'm going to get rid of the do-rags, and because that's not a rule meant for Cole Beasley. And I'm going to make sure that this is palatable to my audience. As a guy kneels and it becomes about the flag for 4 years and he no longer works in the league, but now Patrick Mahomes is your star. And so Roger Goodell has to, okay, no, we're racism ends here in the end zone, or stop racism. And the construct that I've always objected to, Stugatz, over 20 years of telling you stop with the coach stuff is, well, these black dudes need a white guy to come in there and be powerful and be smart on behalf of the general culture. General culture, I'm the general. They can't do it themselves, and it's absurd. The idea that Urban Meyer would come in there and make anybody on the Jags tougher at football than Bruce Arians is making them tougher at football. It disrespects what they do to their bodies and the work they put in, risking injury at every turn, to assume that they can't do it unless Urban Meyer teaches them how.
So why do these owners gravitate towards the disciplinarian head coach? And obviously, race is playing a factor here somewhat, but I also think a conversation that's not really being had is how the class system also plays a factor here. The class system in this country also pretty strongly divided upon racial lines, but let's take Shad Khan for an example. This isn't generational wealth. This is someone that came up from humble beginnings and worked himself up through the ranks and became a billionaire, owner of one of 32 prize commodities, an NFL football team.
Can give his son, so wealthy, can give his son a wrestling enterprise that is now going to be a monster business just because he's got so much money. He's got a yacht that was in a Netflix movie that is one of the biggest yachts in the world.
So why does he gravitate towards the Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone, Urban Meyer type? And I just think there's a lot of ego, obviously, that comes with being a billionaire. And it's an ego stroke if someone comes up to you and says, no, it wasn't your problem. You're not the problem. These are good players. They're just not tough enough. And I think that there's just a mental mindset from a lot of billionaires, a lot of the wealthy people in power in that sport in particular, that they possibly couldn't have been this wrong. They're successful in every other phase of life. I'm not getting the return on my investment because these players are simply not tough enough. We got to work those people in the mailroom harder. I need the right person out here to sharpen these tools and get them tougher because I wasn't wrong. And that's how you end up with Dan Campbell being the head coach of the Lions.
And it's followed by a self-belief that it is those traits that got you to that success. I would imagine every billionaire who owns an NFL team is self-assured in their hard work, their cutthroat nature is the reason why they are billionaires and the reason why they own their teams. And therefore, they need to imbue that upon their NFL teams. They need to bring in a leadership figure that can assign those qualities and those traits to their football team.
You guys think that Man Campbell is killing the interview because he's just the Lions over a half a century of failure? They're just as bad as they ever were, and they've got Jared Goff, who's not a very good quarterback, and he's not going to fix anything with press conferences that bite your kneecaps.
He's going to fix it with his muscles, Dan.
You guys think he's just going into the room and flexing in front, like taking off his shirt
I'd hire him.
and flexing in front of, it's still the Ford family.
It's still the Ford
right?
family, which has been a disastrous NFL owner. And I mean, Ford needed to be bailed out. Like
this is America tough. Man Campbell is going to go in there and make
Ford
it.
tough.
He is. Yes, put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is Man Campbell built Ford tough? He's going to go in there and he's going to make the Lions tougher than Justin Fields.
But if you find yourself managing partner of the Detroit Lions, no matter the lack of on-field success, you're still going to be feeling pretty confident about how things have gone for you personally. You think that you're responsible for a lot of success. It's how your head gets big when you're wealthy. It doesn't necessarily, they won't have the self-awareness to know that it's generational wealth. They feel like, to a degree, their acumen has gotten them to that point in life. So why, in one phase of their life that doesn't even really matter to them all that much, are they not getting it right? Clearly, it's because the players are letting them down. I'm the guy for the job. You have enough to win here. I'm the right person to get the most out of these players. They're simply not tough enough. That is like pornography for an owner, because it's basically the class system. Essentially, yeah, they're getting paid millions of dollars, but to an owner, that ain't shit. To an owner, that's Odell Beckham Jr. out there going out before a playoff game on a boat, not giving a freak.
Wow. Wow. You got scared around it. You're still not comfortable around it. You don't know whether we want to be a live thing.
And then I still said fuck, so we had to
there it is.
Said it again.